Fine, no.
Okay. Welcome back to the From the Fabricator podcast. I'm your host, Max Perlstein, and I really appreciate you being back with me once again. It is a special supersized Glass Build America edition of the podcast. Lots to come, unbelievable guests, fun, interesting conversations. We are all over the world and all over the gambit of this industry. So I think you'll enjoy. So most people, as I've noted before, take it in chunks. We got 4 chunks for you to check out that are really strong, in my opinion. Before I get to it, a huge thank you to my friends at FHC. FHC is Dallas bound for Glass Build, as I think most of the industry is, which is exciting. Visit FHC in booth 45012 to see the award-winning glazing systems, tools, and supplies that are changing the game for glazers, and to meet the team of technical experts that are redefining the definition of customer service and project support for American-made, designed, engineered, and tested glass railing and entrance systems. See it there. See everybody at the FHC booth. That is the place to be. Giddy up and get over to 45012. And as noted, Glass Build, a lot of you listening to this or watching this right now are either about to get on the way, maybe on the way, listening to this in your car or the plane to Glass Build, whatever the case may be. I look forward to seeing you there. If you see me, please stop me. The brain's been a little mushy lately, as some people may know. Grab me, say hi. I'd love to at least chat. Nothing bums me out more when after the show somebody says, "Oh, I saw you and I didn't want to stop you." Just say hi. I'd love to say hi and get to know everybody that is in this awesome industry. So looking forward to Glass Build. If you have not signed up yet, still time, glassbuild.com. Log in and register. Use MAXPOD, MAXPOD, as the free code for entry at checkout. So there you go. So as I said, I got 4 segments for you. We kick it off with Katy Devlin from NGA, and she talks about what's going to happen at Glass Build and some of the really highlights of the show. Alan Kinder from Guardian Glass is tremendous. We go deep into everything glass. He's one of the most well-spoken creative people in our industry. Fantastic. Then chop it up on the fire-rated side with Art Huard and Shawn McHale of NVOY fire-rated system, up-and-coming company with a really neat product line, and wrap it up with Kyle Lindersmith of Burkle, talking about one of the most innovative products and machines that we have in our industry. Love to get caught up on that, as always. So that's coming up. We're going to kick it off with Katy, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay. It's starting off this month, a fun one. Believe it or not, this is the second take, too, because we did a whole entire podcast, and it didn't take. And so now we're trying again. I am joined by the one and only Katy Devlin, Content Director, Editor-in-Chief, National Glass Association. She's also Glass Magazine, the Glazing Executives Forum, BEC. We'll talk about all of those things, and you can find her work and a work of her team and great people at NGA at glass.org, glassbuild.com, and glassmagazine.com. Katy, thank you so much for doing the pod again. The rest of the world didn't get to do it like you and I did already, but thanks for doing the podcast.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Max. I'm going to say officially this is my second time on your pod, but maybe it's my third since we we had a practice run. But I'm delighted to be back. Thank you.
Absolutely. Katy is a recurring guest. She didn't realize that she was going to recur again so quickly, but it's great to have you, and I've known you a long time. I think a lot of people in the industry have known you a long time, but in case they don't, it's interesting on how you got to this point. A real adventurous road of lots of things, right? For the last 20 years or maybe not. So talk to the audience of how Katy Devlin came to be at Glass Magazine, NGA, et cetera.
Yeah, well, I sometimes joke that I'm the longest running intern at Glass Magazine. I was a journalism student at University of Maryland in College Park, and saw this job listing summer between my junior and senior year for an internship at Glass Magazine, and I thought, heck, let's give it a shot. And here I am, 20 years later. Had no idea that I would become a glass professional, but I'm so grateful. This is such a wonderful, wonderful community to be in. And yeah, I posted on LinkedIn when I realized it was my 20th anniversary, and I thought, oh my gosh, what incredible relationships I've developed over the years. You and I you were one of the first contacts I had at the magazine. You were a very frequent call for quotes, but also just, support as I was trying to understand this business. They do not teach glass and glazing in journalism school.
Nope.
I don't know if you know that. So there was a lot to learn, and but once you get in it, this business is just great.
It's awesome to have you, and thrilled that you ended up with us, and you've been with us this entire time, 20 years, and you've made a heck of an impact along the way. With your writing, with your connections, and the content that you deliver. So kudos. It's awesome to have you. And so I have to ask, 20 years. Any big main memories in the last 20 years that jump out at you, or is it just the building of the relationships and so on?
When I saw this question, I was kind of thinking about like really this business has brought me to some pretty cool places. We have conferences all over. Been to Germany a number of times for Glass Tech. That's always such an adventure. Finland for the GPD. But also I remember my tours, my factory tours, the most of anything. My first float tour, we did a tour with NGA at the NSG Rossford, Ohio plant a few years ago, and
Right.
what an incredible facility. That is, I think if you're in glass and have never been to a float plant, get there. It is incredible, and it's kind of the base for everything that we're doing. Just have them open that little window to the furnace. You have to wear a thing over your face, and you can just get a tiny little sense of what it is to be in however many thousand degrees it is, to be working around that. It's really powerful. So yeah, I think it has been a really exciting and unexpected experience to get in there.
I love it. I love it. And I agree. Float tours are something else. They really are. And when you're able to look at it, I try to explain to people, it's like Game of Thrones. You're
Yeah.
looking through in the fire and the heat and the intensity. It's magical. It really is. I love it. All right. So speaking of magical, let's talk a little bit about GlassBuild. And obviously I'm excited. Glassbuild.com is where you can find more information. What's your feeling, your gut going into the show? We're about when this drops, we're about a week away. How you feeling about it? What do you think?
It's going to be big, really. Last year in Atlanta it was hopping. We had a great show out there, but this year, not just physically, like we are over 200,000 square feet, net square feet of exhibit space. We've got 500 plus exhibitors. Many of them are first timers. But also attendance. I was checking in with some colleagues before you and I met, and if we keep pace with our registrations, we're going to, hit 10,000 folks. So I think that this industry is excited to go to Dallas, excited to try something new. Yeah, I am really thrilled to get out there in a week and a half.
Can't wait. Can't wait. And I love Texas. The people in Texas support shows, they support events, they support the industry, and it should be really, really good. And I'm feeling good about it too. Can't wait to see everybody there. One of the big things that we have going on there is the Glazing Executives Forum. That's something that you and you have a team that helps build that each year. Really, really good event again this year. We want to hit some highlights. I mean, we've got some neat speakers, neat workshopy sort of things. What's on tap for the Glazing Executives Forum?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite events of the year, truly. It is, we keep it a little small. We want it to be community. So, we'll pretty much cap it or around 200 folks because people want the networking. These are small and mid-sized executives of glazing firms. They're all dealing with the same challenges, and they come to this so that they can talk to one another, so they can have some of these solution shares, so they can see if anybody else is dealing with the same issue that they've got and what they might be able to do about it. And these executives, they want take-home solutions. So every bit of content that we put together for the Glazing Executives Forum is intended to provide someone with an immediately actionable strategy. So we're talking about risk management with Matt Johnson, our our longtime columnist for Glass Magazine. We've got Stephanie Couch. She's an expert in AI and branding. She's coming in to do a general session as well as to lead a workshop. We've got an estimating panel that's going to be stellar. But the big highlight speaker of the day is, of course, Connor Lokar. Connor is our economic forecaster. He is incredibly engaging, pretty darn spot on based on his past talks. He knows our industry, he knows these companies, and I am very eager to hear what he has to say. We're recording this about an hour after the Fed announced that 0.5 point rate cut, the first in 4 years. So, we are at a transitional moment in the economy, and we need to know how that's going to affect us. So all of that is going to be right at that Glazing Executives Forum on the first day.
Awesome. And then on the flip side of the Glazing Executives Forums are the 3 workshops that'll be in the afternoon. That'll be very, very strong. So there's a lot going on. And Connor and Chris Burns, who covers the fenestration side of things, will also be speaking in a shorter segment at the main stage. Again, we'll have some content, and you can find that all on glassbuild.com. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those things momentarily. But now it's time for a fun one with Katy Devlin, NGA. She's content director, among many other hats that she wears there. And one of the things that Katy made famous was when she was just starting out, she would do word association, this fun thing at the shows. She would have a little tiny camera long before the iPhone camera, run around, and she would edit these things again long before easy editing systems. So I'm not sure how she pulled that off back in the day, but she would ask you a word, give you a word, and you have to kind of give the first thoughts that come to your mind when you got the word. And it really puts you on the spot. So I'm putting Katy on the spot with some word association. I've got a handful for you. So you ready for a little word associations? I'll give you a word or a phrase and tell me what comes to mind. Ready?
Absolutely. And Max, I would like all of your folks to go to Glass Magazine's YouTube, search way back in the archives to 2007 and check out some of these from the early days. I thought about posting one a few weeks ago, and they're pretty fun.
They are pretty fun. It might be pretty dangerous for me. I don't know. I can't remember some of the things I said, but I'm probably said some things I shouldn't have said. So that alone has me a little nervous. All right, ready? First word, first word, first phrase. VIG.
Oh, let's get some domestic manufacturing going.
Beautiful, beautiful. Battle for the wall.
Ongoing, but Tom Culp has your back.
Tom Culp, one of our main consultants, absolutely has our back. He's tremendous. EPDs.
This is a good one. Let's see. NGA is on it.
They are the big grant that NGA picked up, and people will now start to understand NGAs a little bit, or NGAs, EPDs a little bit better. And hopefully they understand NGA too. Biggest industry pain point.
Oh, labor, for sure.
Yeah, that's a must. A fun one. How about Milwaukee?
So I gotta say, Milwaukee Bucks. I know people are down on them for this season, but I think we got it. Let's go. We got Giannis. We've got Dame. We're gonna bring this together.
Gotcha. Katy and Doc Rivers gonna bring a title back to Milwaukee. I love it. Dallas. Okay.
Bigger, for sure. Bigger.
Gotcha. Swing dancing.
Well, Lindy Hop. But also so much fun.
So much fun. And then last, what playlist must, since you're a musical person, playlist must.
Yeah, I would say start strong, have a theme, end strong, and never put it on shuffle. Never.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah. Shuffle's evil. Love it. All right. So that was Katy Devlin. It was a fun questions there, a little word association. And if you want to look up the past, they are all on YouTube. A couple more questions for the very busy Katy Devlin, NGA, Glass Magazine, Glassbuild, glassbuild.com. Hot items in the industry. What's the hot thing going on right now? Hot things. What's the big issues that are concerning our world and are on your radar?
Yeah, well, we hit on a couple of them with that word association, but I think we all are looking at this need to build more sustainable buildings or to improve the buildings that we have, which is, a kind of a two-part challenge in there. And of course, we have our next generation high performance products. Some of these are proven; they've been around for a couple of decades, like VIG. But we've got transparent solar. We've got thin triples, multi cavities, dynamic glasses of all sorts, and these are available and ready to go. And we need to get over that hump and really tell the world, that we have the solutions. Because it's no longer a question of just basic ROI on these. We're not just looking at energy costs. We're talking about carbon. And when you think about the operational carbon that can be reduced by using these products, it really changes the equation. So, maybe we as an industry just need to shift our sales, our techniques a little, our communication strategies. So I'm thinking a lot about that, about just the products, but also on the life cycle side of it, recycling. We are increasing the conversation about glass recycling, not just within the production processes, but what do we do with these products when we're pulling them off a building, when we're reskinning a building? The fact that most of these products go right to landfill is certainly not a long-term future as we're facing these, ongoing climate issues. So what can we be doing to reuse these products, to recycle them? And we've got some, leading companies out there that are actively working with the building community to say, hey, we can come to your job site and pick up these products and, let them be used again in a new way, whether they're in, downcycled in other building products or, used on roadways, wherever they go, let's make sure we're reusing them.
Nice. Yeah, it's smart. There's some smart approaches there. And a lot of what you mentioned, you have built into day one of Glass Build on the main stage, with some really powerful people talking about it. There are architects that are going to come in for it because it's a part of the Blueprint for Collaboration event that is kind of running concurrently with Glass Build. But for instance, the Next Energy talking about transparent photovoltaic, Alpin talking about their thin triple angle, the wonderful and awesome Dr. Kayla Natividad of NSG Pilkington talking VIG and other things, and then you somehow got Steve Selkowitz, one of the legends of our space, to come in and moderate that panel, and then you have also Infinite Recycle Technologies involved as a sponsor, and they're on the recycling side. So that's huge. You got everybody coming together. And I think that will help. If you don't know about this sort of thing, just attending some of these things will give you that color that you need to be able to go forward.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. So we, NGA has successfully run this Blueprint for Collaboration program at the AIA show. This is really our way of coming into the architectural community, the wider building community, and bringing all of our glass players together to say, hey, we have the solutions. We let us collaborate with you early on in these processes. So we decided let's bring this proven model, this Blueprint for Collaboration, to Glass Build. Every one of the sessions on day one will be AIA accredited. We're working with the AIA Dallas chapter to bring architects to the show, and all of them will be available on demand for on-demand AIA accreditation after the show as well. And our main thesis is, glass. We as a glass industry have the solutions. We are your partners in this, not only when it comes to high performance. The panel that you talked about. We've got Irmela Sowell, our VP of Technical and Advocacy. She and Tom Culp are coming up to talk through the code and standards, regulations that these architects need to know when it comes to glass. We have some amazing case studies looking at some high performance residential products. So it's going to be a really strong day of education.
It truly is. It's really exciting. And I think you and the team have done a great job. And again, Katy Devlin, content director at NGA, glassmagazine.com, glass.org, and really the big one right now, glassbuild.com. If you want to join us there, you can use my code of MAXPOD, MAXPOD, and get free entry. And if somebody has been thinking about going to Glass Build and they haven't pulled the trigger yet, what do you, Katy Devlin, say to them to get them off the fence and join us in Dallas?
Get there. You will not regret it. You will not regret coming to Dallas, even if you can only come out for one day, just to walk the floor, see your peers, see what's out there. Everything is on that show floor. I would love for you to come by and participate in the education. I will buy you lunch. Maybe we'll limit that to 5, but really come check it out, especially if you've never been. This is the place for the North American industry. So I'm looking forward to it.
It truly is. It truly is. And so glassbuild.com for that, glassmagazine.com to find more content and info. Glass.org has a ton of content and info. And so all good stuff thanks to Katy and team. And at that point, I lost Katy and Zoom crashed, but we were just wrapping up. So Katy Devlin, thank you so much for doing the podcast. See her at GlassBuild. Go to glassbuild.com, check out the schedule. Everything is pretty awesome. And again, my thanks to Katy. It was an adventure. We lost the first recording of the podcast, and then we lost Zoom towards the end of the second. Never a dull moment with technology sometimes. All right. So thank you to Katy. We keep moving on the podcast. Okay. Next up, I'm thrilled to have a very, very impressive man, one of my all-time favorites in this industry, Alan Kinder, Director of Commercial Segment for Guardian Glass. You can find them obviously online at guardianglass.com. And once you get into the site, there's so much information. It is awesome. Alan, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Max, it's an absolute pleasure. I've paid attention to your blog post, your podcast through the years. It's always been on the bucket list of getting invited to be a part of this. I've had a lot of first in my tenure in the glass and glazing industry, but this signifies my very first time being on a podcast, and I couldn't think of a better place to break into my introduction into this space.
Oh, I'm honored. I mean, because with your personality, you're built for the podcast game. So
I have the face
for
a podcast, probably, or face for radio. Yes.
No, this is great. I'm thrilled. Well, let's talk about you. I mean, you came onto my radar during the pandemic. That's when I think, started to get to know you. You were doing a lot of things online and so on. And I think I knew you a little bit before, but let's talk about your past, where you were born, grew up, went to school, that's the sort of thing, and how you made it to today at Guardian Glass.
Yeah. So, a bit of a wild journey, right? I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina, and from there went on to Clemson University, the great Clemson University.
Yep.
And from there ended up studying industrial management, went through a variety of different job interviews, landed a job that brought me into Charlotte, North Carolina. It was not in the glass and glazing industry, was in mostly residential building products distribution. Spent a little bit of time with a PVC manufacturer after that, and then just happened to be lucky enough that a recruiter reached out and said, "Hey, I've got a wonderful opportunity in the glass industry." And I can remember I was driving 2 hours from one home to another to do sales calls and looking around, and glass was just everywhere. And I said, I'm intrigued. Let's listen. And he was just a great recruiter, but introduced me to Ryan Sexton, who was my hiring manager at Guardian Glass, and just really enjoyed talking to Ryan, and just got me really excited about the possibilities of glass, what this industry means. And then all it took was doing an interview at the float plant and seeing the mass scale of glass being produced, how we apply coatings. And from that moment on, I was sold and lucky enough to get that job. And 12 years later, I'm still with Guardian Glass. It's been a tremendous tenure for me. I'm incredibly thankful for Guardian. Given me growth opportunities. I came into the job as a territory sales manager for North Carolina, Virginia. That point in time, we were selling everything Guardian had to offer. So whether it was clear float, whether it was SunGuard commercial coatings, residential coatings, case goods, mirrors, all the above. If we manufactured, I was selling it. But I always had a tremendous affinity for the commercial side of business. It's really my passion. So I was lucky enough to get in as our architectural design manager, calling on architects, consultants, building owners, really anybody on the front end who wanted to learn about glass, the benefits of it, help drive specifications. Kind of grew into a key project manager role where I was going on the East Coast, focusing on some of the larger project work or more influential project work that maybe didn't follow the traditional geographic boundaries of a territory. Architect in New York City, then a general contractor in Nashville, and a glazing contractor out of Atlanta. And how do we create all of that linemanship? Then I went to manage the architectural design manager team, and now I'm
Right.
here as director of commercial segment. So it's been a crazy ride, but a lot of fun, and have met just so many interesting people in our industry along the way.
It's awesome to have you in our industry. I think you've made a heck of an impact, and so I'm glad that it brought you to us, and I love the path that you have, and the variety obviously is pretty cool. You know, you've now had a variety in your past, and now going forward. And from a personal standpoint, you grow up in Columbia, and you end up going to Clemson. Is the family South Carolina fans or Clemson fans? Did you break anybody's heart there by going to Clemson?
I was the first to go to Clemson out of the family. So even the ones that didn't go to South Carolina were South Carolina fans. There was a year that Thanksgivings were a little challenging for me when they had the
Sure.
5-year win streak, but by and large, I've had a one up on them, and I've been able to hold my own against them.
Okay. Just curious there. Well, very, very cool. Now let's get into some things. First and foremost, I think everybody in the world knows about Guardian Glass, but I always get a kick out of give me your elevator pitch on what is Guardian Glass. And I know it's hard for you to give the pitch because Guardian does so much, and we're going to get into all those details. But what is the Guardian Glass elevator pitch?
Yeah, Max, you're right. Elevator pitch is such a hard thing. One, I'm so verbose and love to get on a soapbox and talk, but so many great things to say about Guardian. I mentioned my tenure and how thankful I am, but kind of a quick rundown. Obviously Guardian Glass is a global manufacturer of glass substrates and high performance coatings. And these coatings do a variety of different things, from improving optical and thermal performance to protecting that glass. So
Right.
we are a global manufacturer. We're based in Auburn Hills, Michigan, but we have 6 plants domestically in the US, where there's 7 different float lines. We have our jumbo coater, which is where our SunGuard low E coatings are now made in a 130 by 204 standard jumbo sheet size, or capabilities to do jumboer glass, which is 130 by 240 inch. And
Nice.
again, that's in Carlton, Michigan, but plants globally across Europe, Middle East, Asia, Latin America. So very large, high scale manufacturer. As I mentioned, a lot of different products. Some of the brands that viewers might be familiar with, of course, are our SunGuard line of
Yep.
commercial coatings and glass substrates. ClimaGuard would be our residential version of our glass for mostly single family homes, some multifamily, but going into the residential window industry. Shower guard, we have protective coatings that we put on the glass to make it looking
Yeah.
new for a longer period of time. So a variety of different things, but you'll find Guardian Glass across residential, commercial, automotive, interiors, technical, anywhere where we see soda lime soda lime silicate flat glass used. Guardian Glass is a player in that industry. And so
Love it.
a lot of different facets we can explore.
Not bad. You did it. You did it. That was good. That was good. It may have had to be a longer elevator ride, like,
That's right.
New York
Up to the
skyscraper,
30 story.
but you did it. I like it. So I'm with Alan
Well, thank you.
Kinder, director of commercial segment Guardian Glass. Find them online at guardianglass.com. And let's get into what's going on. And we've got Glass Build coming up in a week. So we're recording this about a week out. Some people will be listening to this on the way to Glass Build. So, most will probably catch it before Glass Build. Guardian Glass will be in booth 34027. On the floor, always making an impact on our Glass Build floor, which I appreciate. What's the big things you've got going on in that booth this year? So when people are walking by, what are they going to catch, and what are they going to be impressed with, as always?
Yeah, Max, again, super excited that Glass Build is around the corner. A largest trade show for the glass industry in North America. Just a tremendous, tremendous opportunity for network, collaboration, education. So we're just always thankful to be a part of that. And of course, representatives with our booth space. The thing that I always talk about at Guardian Glass, and what makes us unique, what are we always trying to highlight? And it's our people, right? That's what really makes the culture of our company. It's what drives our business.
Yep.
It's what helps us find solutions to unique challenges that exist out there. So first and foremost, we hope everybody comes by the booth to connect with the Guardian representatives that are going to be there, so we can talk about the new products, the services, the industries. How can we continue to elevate our commitment to quality, to service, to continue to find solutions that are mutually beneficial for us and our customers. So all of that said, a lot of exciting things. Been working pretty hard, and I've got a tremendous team that's been helping me as we update our booth a little bit, because we see this industry is constantly changing. There's so many dynamic things we have to pay attention to continue to be innovators in the glass world. I'm going to start with kind of the topic that's a little more difficult to describe when it comes to glass, and that's the aesthetic piece.
Okay.
The performance, the light transmission, reflectivity, solar heat gain, U value, that can be a complicated discussion, but it still is relatively quantitative. So we have the tools available to calculate that and get that output. Understanding what glass might look like in that installed facade is incredibly difficult. It's a hard thing to describe to somebody that maybe they only look at glass once or twice a year. Maybe they've never specified glass, or so we're starting to see that aesthetics is 50% of the weight what makes material selections for that exterior facade, that artistic nature, how the building looks, the kind of culture of what that building or branding might be. So with that said, we continue to enhance our SunGuard dynamic viewer. For those that might have been with us in Atlanta last year, you saw that, but it's a really cool experience where we can modify the lighting conditions, right? We talk about glass being a chameleon building product. You could always use the same glass type in every single project and it would look a little different, whether it's exterior facade color schemes, window to wall ratios, interior layouts, but lighting conditions, of course, is a huge thing there. So this display is pretty unique, and we worked with a great vendor that allows us to have a lighted source. And on one side, we have a blue sky with white cloud cover. On the other side is an overcast condition. And then we have an array of different glass samples on either side, and we can flip and rotate. And so we bring dynamic lighting conditions into it, and we can discuss how does reflectivity change with lighting conditions? How does color change with lighting conditions? So
I think that's really helpful. A lot of glaziers and a lot of glass shops don't understand that, because, they're dealing with 12 by 12s in passing them on. And so that helps not only the architects that'll be coming to the show, but the contractors as well.
Absolutely. And I think that, the other thing is we don't look at glass in a static 90-degree view. And a lot of times we do that with the 12 by 12 sample. So with this viewer and our ClimaGuard viewer, which does something similar as well, allows you to move back and forth across that, move side to side, and understand what does the glass look like head on? What would the glass look like if I'm looking up the building or across the city skyline? What happens if I get a greater distance? So when we say dynamic, that's really what we're trying to capture. And it's the user experience, increase the understanding of what that needs to be. So again, I could probably take up the whole podcast talking about aesthetics. I'm passionate about it, but we'll move on to the next big ticket item, which for us is going to be talking about bird-friendly glass. I don't think that you can exist in the glass and glazing industry and not pay extreme attention to what's going on here. Certainly New York City, Toronto were big drivers in bird-friendly codes, and that still creates a lot of the demand for those products. But we're seeing a very rapid acceptance of bird-friendly, both through code adoption or even voluntary acceptance, places like higher education. So we're going to really be highlighting not just a bird-friendly product, but our suite of bird-friendly solutions. And so what we've really tried to understand, and I spent a bit of time talking about variability for aesthetics, but that project variability impacts bird-friendly solutions as well. Is that bird perceiving more of the light being reflected off the glass, or are we creating a fly-through corner condition where maybe they're looking through it and seeing clouds behind it? And how do each of the different deterrent technologies improve the efficacy based off of that? So we're once again highlighting our Bird First UV coating. It's a product that we've just seen continued traction with, continued growth, and it's a 2-inch vertical stripe of a material that reflects UV light, and then it's also a laminated outboard lights. That inner layer will typically absorb about 99% of the UV. So that's what creates this contrast for birds that's very low into the human visibility range,
which is huge, right?
It's huge, and it's one of the biggest demand drivers for that product. And so what we're really trying to capture is not just that exterior aesthetic for the Bird First UV, but a lot of the questions have shifted towards what is the view from interior out, especially if we're talking residential, hospitality, places where that view is a major selling point of that project.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if you saw the, CBS Morning News did a piece on bird strikes and bird-friendly glass. And you could tell by the person looking through the glass from the interior out, they were stunned. And it wasn't, it's just one of those big keys. They're expecting to see it. And the key is the products that you've developed that, you don't see that, you've taken that human eye out of it, which is huge.
It's huge. And I think that they did a wonderful piece, right, on that.
Strong.
And so, I think just the overall trend of why bird friendly is important was really, really well set up in that piece. So I'll put a plug for them on the podcast. If you haven't seen that video, it's all over LinkedIn. A lot of people are celebrating it. So it's worth the 3.5 or 4 minute watch that exists.
Exactly.
But similar to that, we also have bird first etched. And so in this
Right.
solution, we're taking a etched marker, acid etched marker. It's on surface number 1. Low E coating is maintained on surface number 2. We have 4 main patterns of that product that we're promoting right now: dots and 2x2, dots and 2x4, squares and random patterns. But big advantage of that is we're maintaining the same overall thickness and weight of that IGU, still creating a deterrent pattern that gives you some optionality, but it also is a bit more of a translucent marker. So it can sometimes soften a little bit depending on the lighting conditions we're looking through. With that, the big thing that we'll be announcing, of course, is that our bird first etched is available on the larger sheet sizes now. It used
Super.
to be very
Yeah.
limited to some of those 96 by 130, but we now can do a 102 by 204. And that's pretty big when we talk about distributing products to fabricators, directionality of patterns, yield loss components that come into play, or just pushing the envelope on what architects want for better sight lines.
And it's nice because you have a suite of products, not just one. You have options for, a couple different, applications and settings, and that makes a big difference.
It does. It does. And then, of course, we still celebrate pattern frits, right?
Sure.
Pattern frits have been around forever for light control, solar heat gain, unique aesthetics. And, it's a deterrent that we can see aesthetically, so birds can see it as well. Now, with a frit, one of the things we continue to talk about is there's much greater availability because the frit exists at the fabricator level. It's a product they apply, but frit by itself does not automatically make it bird friendly. Placement of that frit, color of the frit, pattern, density, all of that can really play a big factor. So the closer we can move that frit profile to the exterior, the better it's going to work in terms of efficacy to deter birds. So we're going to have a great visual display highlighting the aesthetics, talking about the value, all of that. A little bit of a teaser too, the bird first UV product I mentioned, we are going to be launching that on our jumbo coater platform in 2025. So we're proud to kind of start to roll that out at Glass Build and start to look at the opportunities that we can continue to elevate that product platform.
Important news. Important news. I love it. I love it. And again, bird friendly is only going to keep growing.
Yes.
So the fact that you're moving into the jumbos makes perfect sense. So kudos to you. I've got Alan Kinder here, director of commercial segment for Guardian Glass. Find them online at guardianglass.com. And for instance, he just talked quite a bit about bird friendly. You can find that on that website along with so much else. And you can see them at Glass Build, booth 34027. I'm not used to that fifth number yet. I'm used to 4 numbers on the booths, but 34027 for Guardian's booth, you'll be able to find it there. Alan, continuing on, I mean, we started talking aesthetics, SunGuard, Crystal Clear, new products or newer products in both of those areas. How about a little bit of an update on that?
Yeah, Crystal Clear is kind of a continued launch. Last year at Glass Build, we did launch our new SNX 70 Plus low E coating. We advertised that product, and we've seen tremendous traction as a result of enhanced color neutrality versus the early iterations of triple silver coating technology. So higher visible light transmission, a little bit greater color neutrality, eliminating some of the green. Big trend that we're seeing in the architectural community. Crystal Clear is a bit of continuation in that. So what we have seen is true low iron substrates have been around in the industry for a very long time, and we've seen tremendous acceptance, especially on the interiors. One of the challenging components has been that exterior envelope. Architects really want greater color neutrality, but they've not always been able to talk owners into the true price of low iron for both lights. So Crystal Clear is a product that we're trying to find that sweet spot in terms of giving them enhanced color neutrality over standard clear glass. Crystal Clear is 67% more color neutral than clear glass, but trying to come in at a price point that's a little more palatable for the owners and developers so that we can see the continued trend for lower iron glass options grow and be accepted more in that exterior envelope, which is one of the sections that we've seen has been a little more challenging to incorporate.
It is a challenge, and it's funny because as you're talking about the exterior, it was nice to see that bird piece because we as an industry didn't get hammered in it. We're kind of beaten down sometimes. The whole battle for the wall. There'll be an article coming out about big glass buildings are bad for you, and so on. So that bird piece, was actually pretty positive to us. But what leading me to my next question with you is that a lot of people on the other side of things don't understand all of the offerings that we have and all that glass could do, and we're asking for more and more. And with coatings on all surfaces and triple silver, you name it, Guardian Glass has been a leader in that world. So a lot of pressure kind of on you and your staff to educate everybody about everything that's out there that shows the glass industry in a positive light, and that we have their solutions. because they may be kind of old school. So how do you go about, kind of getting people onto the right side of the technical, side of things with everything we do have to offer and everything that Guardian Glass has to offer?
Yeah, great question, Max. I would probably correct the pressure's not necessarily on me. The pressure is on our scientists and our
It's all
product
on you.
development
Come
team.
on.
No,
Come on.
no.
It's all on
I,
you.
I'm
Pressure's all
just
on
the
you.
I'm
Nice
just
way
the
to pass
mouth.
it.
Yeah, I'm just the mouthpiece here that gets to
The pretty
talk about the
face.
tremendous work, right? Yeah,
Gotcha.
well, thank you. Yeah, well, I won't accept that compliment, but I'm the mouthpiece. I'll stick there. But it is a tremendous thing when we look at the team behind Guardian, and it's great that I get to be on the podcast. It's great that I get to go to the trade shows and be in architect's office. But speaking to what our dedicated team of individuals do every day to look at how can we continue to innovate new product technologies, not just innovate but commercialize. What is our path to deliver on these products in a way that a high volume manufacturer like ourselves can do that efficiently? But also, it's not just developing these products. To your point, it's advocating for them. It's the education piece. It's getting out there and doing the promotion. And so we have a bit of a two-tiered sales team. We have TSMs dealing with the direct fabricators. We've got a dedicated team of architectural design managers who engagement is the biggest thing for our sales team. Get out and talk to people, right? We can make a bigger impact when we're talking face to face, when we're bringing samples into the office. So it all starts with, we want to make the calls, open the doors, speak with our customers, both direct and indirect, and highlight what these things are. I think the other aspect is, how do we promote not just our glass products, but to your point, glass in general? And it's a tremendous building product. I've not been around one in my tenure that is as technical as it is aesthetic. I've not been around one where you can have somebody that's in this industry for 30 years and is still a constant learner, because the evolution of the products or the capabilities or the applications are constantly being challenged in a different way. I think, kind of leading into some of your question as well, we are asking glass to do more than we've ever done before. It's not just under 50 square feet. We've got oversized glass
Right.
that comes with structural concerns. So it's not just 1/4 inch glass. What are we doing on 8 mil and 10 mil and 12 mil, and advanced laminates for safety, security, sound attenuation? Now, even beyond the performance, we're looking at operational and embodied carbon, and what is Guardian as a manufacturer doing that? So digital tool development continues to be extremely important for that. So products like our glass analytics suite of tools that allow us to create any project specific custom content. We give you those outputs that I talked about, and the tool is really unique that you can build makeups that I would never recommend anybody install. But that's really how advanced the tool is, and it gives you in real time with a few clicks of the button what those values would be: weight, thickness of IGU, everything that comes with that. Visualizer tools built after that. So now we're advancing that, creating more photorealistic rendered images of the product to better describe the aesthetics, change the lighting conditions. We've got a new feature in performance calculator to help calculate the embodied carbon factor. So not only have we updated our environmental product declarations, we've took the data from that and put it into a transferable metric that allows you to calculate it per square foot per square meter of that glass. So you can actually say, hey, I've got a 50,000 square foot exterior glass curtain wall. What's the embodied carbon for the specific makeup I'm looking at that has a U value of a 0.13 versus a U value of a 0.20, and making a more comprehensive selection of results. So information overload, but how can we deliver that in an efficient way that doesn't take days, weeks to generate? We can do it real time during meetings and provide that information to them.
And that's huge. That's huge. And Guardian Glass has always kind of been that leader, because I mean, way back in my days, when Science and Technology Center first opened, I was there, and that was just kind of starting off and running. And now all the things that you just mentioned. I mean, if I was a daily fabricator, I'm not in that business day to day anymore, but if I still had my fabricator, I mean, these tools are unbelievable. And that's, I just got excited listening to you, and I was like thinking, you got to get me some access. I would love to go tool around in there, just because it is so cool what you have created. So very, very, very neat. And I love, Guardian Glass is more than, just a manufacturer. I mean, you're definitely a huge supporter of the industry, but you're also creating those tools and those resources, which makes a big difference.
Well, thanks, Max, and open invite next time I'm in Michigan. I'll give you a heads up, and maybe we can align and get you back to GTD and see some of the latest and greatest, and love to have you be a guest on my behalf again.
Would love that. Would love that. I'm with Alan Kinder, Director of Commercial Segment, Guardian Glass. Find them online at guardianglass.com, also at Glass Build booth 34027. Breaking it up with a fun one. You at BEC created a song called Friends in Low E Places, based on Garth Brooks' Friends in Low Places. It was unbelievable. It was incredible. It was you are one of the most, if not the most creative guy we have in our industry, just the way you approach things. So I'm a huge fan. And again, that started during the pandemic when you delivered just unbelievable content that we all needed and are appreciative of here all these years later. So knowing that, I'm guessing you're a music guy somewhere along the way, my fun question for you is your favorite all-time singer or group and song. So what's the go-to for Alan Kinder musically?
Yeah. Gosh, favorite singer. I mean, that's almost like saying choose your favorite child, right? There's so many
True.
good ones. Always depends on mood. So I've got to go not necessarily to the people maybe I'm listening most to now, but the tried and true. And so
yeah,
I always come back to Allman Brothers Band.
All right. Nice.
I can remember, kind of first hearing them late middle school, high school, and it just being this kind of evolutionary experience for me, and the fusion that they brought to the music industry of mixing, Southern rock with jazz and blues and a bunch of different genres, and just a great band. So many albums, so many great songs. If I have to pick a song from them, it'd probably be Blue Sky. That was what wife and I danced to the first time. So if she watches this, I need to make sure I put a plug for that. So
good taste. I like it. Very, very cool. For me, just so you know, I'm a Journey guy. So Steve Perry, whose career was kind of cut short from vocal cord issues and back issues, but love Journey, love Steve Perry, among many others. But I love the Allman Brothers. That is a inspired choice, my friend. Inspired choice.
I don't know if you can listen to Journey and not belt out the lyrics, right? So it's a great choice as well.
Cool. Very cool. Thank you. Good stuff. A couple more for Alan Kinder, because I know you are a busy man. One of my favorite things that you do each year is your LinkedIn countdown of jobs. You will put up a photo of a project. You'll give credit to those who were involved in it. How did you kind of discover on doing this? Was it like a spur of the moment thing? And I assume you've got some lined up for this year, or is it like a rush come December 1st? You're like, oh man, I got to go find myself all these jobs. What's the process? Because again, if they're not following you on LinkedIn, connect with Alan, because he's an unbelievable follow for content and detail. But the top jobs of the year, really, really cool stuff. How did it all come about?
Yeah, I would love to say that I could pinpoint the time it came about. It probably, we've been celebrating projects for a very long time. It's extremely important to the team at Guardian to see, the success, right? If we just are looking at, how many trucks of glass do we ship, and where does all this stuff go is really the magic behind it. And I'm a bit of a construction dork. So, and we'll also say nothing sells glass products like an existing project. So seeing it, capturing it, experiencing, being able to speak to it, looking at an architect and looking out their window and saying, hey, this was our SNX 5123. Do you like these type of aesthetics? It just elevates that. So we've always collected projects, tried to put them at the forefront of everybody's purview and celebrate those. So I think this was just one of those instances that probably came around, again, the times of COVID where engagement was so limited, and we're trying to have to figure out creative ways to stay in front of people, to advance the industry, advance our product promotion. So I think I've been doing it probably 3 or 4 years. It probably makes sense there. And I just wanted to figure out a way to tell everybody how appreciative I still was of their business. And so that was a really easy platform to start posting a lot. I had a lot of photos. Most of them come throughout the year, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that there was a massive outreach that was happening to our sales team, to our customers out there. But Max, the big thing there, it's nice to put the projects on there and say, hey, this was a Guardian project. But what I love about it is, sometimes all I'm doing is saying, this is our SNX 5123. It has a 0.23 solar heat gain, 51% visible light, and it's a neutral blue color, and we win the job, right? It's sometimes it's that easy for us as an architectural rep, but what it takes to get that glass installed, from our production team to the immense talent and artisans of our glass fabricator network, everything they're doing to make these project-specific glazing units, the glazing contractor who has to take these glass units and marry up with a whole different supply chain of products that
Right.
make sure that glass is captured, stays in place, it doesn't leak, is structurally sound to the building. So when you stop to think about what it takes to build an exterior facade and being able to highlight and just tie my name to some incredibly talented companies and individuals is very humbling for me. And so I'm thankful that I continue to do that. And as long as I continue to get out and see projects and people continue to email, and I'll put a plug of please send me your projects. I would welcome the opportunity to highlight any projects you can send me, akinder@guardian.com. But certainly it's a fun thing to do, and it gets a lot of traction, which I'm happy about.
Kudos, because I love recognition. I love, and I think that the more we could spread that recognition the way you do, and I try to do on my project of the week, I think that really helps. And I just, like you said, there's nothing that sells more than being able to see it in action. And I think you do a super job there. Nice stuff. I'm
Yeah.
glad.
And listen, your projects of the week, it's given me a lot of inspiration as well. So sometimes hey, I think that was our job, right? And so then I can go get a picture of that job. So awareness is a huge thing there. So I'm very thankful you do that as well.
Awesome. Thank you. It is big part. Alan Kinder, Director of Commercial Segment, Guardian Glass. Find them online at guardianglass.com. A couple last things to kind of clean up here before we wrap up. Let's talk a little bit about the future. And one of the things specifically on the future that we haven't covered yet is VIG. And then we'll talk a little bit about the market. But you want to talk a little bit about VIG because that has been a product that has been, almost kind of like in a way bird friendly-ish from the standpoint of getting that momentum. And now, it's really cruising. And I know at BEC this year, you guys had announced your movement. And so talk a little bit about the VIG and then we'll kind of cover some other future topics.
Yeah. Fun product to talk about. It really is, right? Because you start to talk about something that really is evolutionizing the glazing industry and what it can achieve. So, Vacuum IG, Guardian's Vacuum IG is a technology that we still have. We did a pilot line of that production several years ago. We have over 10,000 square feet of VIG installed in the marketplace that's lasted 5 years and is performing as advertised. The durability is there. So
right.
What we continue to highlight is we still own that technology, and it's a technology that we believe in, and it performs extremely well, whether it's a R13 and a monolithic VIG unit, which is about 8.3 millimeters, or we put it into a hybrid VIG where we have a outboard light, a cavity, and then the vacuum IG on the inboard light getting all the way up to an R16 and a 1-inch unit. So,
nice.
Again, glass that performs very similarly to a fully insulated exterior wall, yet is transparent, is see-through, is light, right? Can still be incorporated and installed. So our path here has always been, market acceptance and commercialization. And so we are seeing that trend is finally adopting more, especially as energy codes tighten. You look at something like what the stretch code of Massachusetts did in terms of really driving U value requirement for that exterior facade to a point of, hey, it's going to be triples with 2 low E coatings, or it's going to have to be some of that advanced technology. I think the trend we're seeing for adaptive reuse, renovation projects where maybe we're trying to keep a good chunk of the old building. Maybe it's an old steel window and I don't have the ability to update the frame, so I've got to stay within that 8-millimeter profile. And now instead of just saying, hey, we got a monolithic with a hard coat that doesn't do much, we can come back in with a product that actually significantly improves the performance of that exterior envelope. So we will be highlighting, ready to talk about the Vacuum IG product and looking for partners in the path of commercialization and how do we get this product back onto our exterior facades.
Love it. Yeah, no, I think that's the big thing, especially the retrofit aspect. And I believe what New York Local Law 97 plays perfectly for this as well. You mentioned the Massachusetts stretch codes, but we have so much old stock, old buildings that need updated, and a VIG style product makes perfect sense in my opinion.
Max, it's a great point, one we're paying very close attention to as well. And I mean, you talk about the millions of square feet of space in New York City alone that will be impacted by that law, and how are they going to do it, right? There's a couple of different pathways, but certainly exterior envelope performance is going to be one of the most crucial.
Okay, good. So as we're talking about the future, what else is on your radar? Is there anything that worries you? Is there anything that we have to navigate? Are there positive things that you can't wait to get to? What's on Alan Kinder's future scope and plate?
I'm still celebrating the cut that happened this week with the Fed. I think that's one of the things I've been waiting on for bated breath.
I think all of us have.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So there's a lot of projects being talked about. There's still things that are happening in our industry. Projects are still moving forward, but we certainly have seen that some project holdups and delays as a result of some of the financial challenges that exist out there. And so positive momentum of getting a lot of these projects that are proposed to contract, get them going so that we can get a lot more product to our customers, celebrate more of those projects. So very excited to see what continues to happen with 2025 in terms of our industry, availability of projects that we can partner on and discuss. So that's the short-term excitement for me. But I think, solar continues to be something that is, what is that going to do to the glass industry?
Right.
And there's a lot of discussions around that. And how much capacity is that going to eat up from a glass supply? How are glass manufacturers going to supply that, plus still focus on a lot of things? And I'm lucky Guardian continues to explore a lot of different paths, but we're very dedicated to core business, residential coatings with the Climate Guard, commercial coatings with the Sun Guard. And we're very excited to continue to plow forward in those businesses, continuing to elevate coating platforms. It's not always easy to discontinue products, but that is a nature of as energy codes continue to tighten, and we think they absolutely will continue to tighten. How do we create products that are able to span not just tighter energy codes, but bigger swaths of energy codes across, the entire North American region? And so we did discontinue some of our old single silver coatings, and that's a challenging decision to make, but that gave way for us to be able to develop new products like SNX 70 Plus, continued development of triple silver coatings. So coatings that are extremely spectrally selective, but maybe we're challenging our aesthetics, chasing that color neutrality, or how can we get better solar heat gain coefficients? When it comes to U value, VIG, as we talked about, is another important one, but we're also going to see products like our IS-20, which is an interior surface coating for double pane, continue to grow in popularity, and looking how we can incorporate that product, or triple pane low E coating or triple pane glazing units with multiple low E coatings, argon filled, warm edge spacers, thermally broken glazing systems. So for me, that big piece is, how do we stop talking about a component and talk about an integrated supply chain and partners that are in this together? And glazing contractors are crucial in that because they become that linchpin. But ahead of that, how do I, as a glass manufacturer, understand what's happening in the glazing systems world and look at total fenestration integration and understand, okay, if you select this glazing system, here's the variability I have with my glass products that can meet that. Here's the thickness, can there's glazing system. So if we can help the architects bridge that gap a little bit more. You talk about service agreements and creating education that's impactful. I think that's something that this industry greatly needs. And that's my segue to Glass Build coming up, where we can continue to elevate those discussions.
Got to get to you, Glass Build. And you don't have a plate that's filled, my friend. It's like a big old platter. I mean, there's a lot, but yeah, Glass Build's huge. It's going to be great to visit your booth. Alan, thank you so much for doing this. Alan Kinder, Director of Commercial Segment at Guardian Glass, guardianglass.com. See them at Glass Build at booth 34027. Definitely check out the website. Follow Alan on LinkedIn. It's well worth the follow. My friend, I could go with you for hours now, or so. I appreciate you spending some time with me, covering the whole range here. This has been great. So thank you so much.
Max, we'll catch up in a week. Appreciate you giving me this opportunity to connect. I always greatly enjoy speaking with you. I learn something every time. It's a joy. So thank you for all you do for our industry and the advocacy and the education piece. You're a staple of this industry, and I'm grateful to be attached to you.
Honored by that. Appreciate that, my friend. We'll see you soon. Thank you,
Max. See you in Dallas.
Thanks.
Hey glazers and fabricators, FHC, the frameless hardware company, is here to support your business. In addition to offering a complete selection of glazing tools and supplies to get the job done right, we design, engineer, and manufacture a comprehensive offering of frameless shower door systems, heavy glass doors, aluminum entrances and storefronts, architectural railings, transaction and display hardware. Privately owned and American-made, FHC prioritizes you, the customer. You now have a choice. Visit fhc-usa.com.
Okay. Next up on the From the Fabricator podcast, I'm thrilled to be joined by two excellent gentlemen. Shawn McHale, Art Huard, the principals of NVOY fire-rated systems, also NVOY building products, building envelope. You can find them online at NVOY. That's just the letter NVOY, NVOY.ca is one site. And then the big site, brand new, hot off the presses, is NVOY FRS. So that's the letters NVOY FRS. So as in fire-rated systems.com. and great sites with a lot of info on there. You can see them at Glass Build in booth 14013. We'll be talking about that here momentarily. But guys, thank you so much for doing the podcast. Thrilled to have you here.
Thank you, Max.
Good morning.
Good
Thank
morning.
you.
Good morning.
It's great to have you with us. I mean, I've known Art for years, and we've chatted on some different things, including on the podcast. I've only gotten to know Shawn just a little bit, so I'm excited to kind of get the backgrounds of both of you guys, especially since I've known you, Art, but some of my audience may not. I know you are the sales goat out there in our industry, so maybe everybody knows you. But Art, we'll start with you. Where'd you get started? How long have you been in the business, and your path to kicking off NVOY and doing so well?
Well, good morning again, and thank you very much. I think we should start with the fact that on September the 8th, 1975, I got into the glass business. So I am officially in my 50th year in this industry. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And so I'm pretty happy. People say, do you like it? I go, well, any place that gives you a paycheck for 50 years can't be too bad. And I've been fortunate enough to work for some very large corporations, PPG, AFG along the way. And then I kind of became an entrepreneur right around the 2000 mark. And we have been working, it's still in the industry, primarily sales and marketing, until about 2 years ago. And then I joined Shawn, and together we created NVOY.ca, which is a building envelope specialty company. And then we had the opportunity to work with a great European fire-rated glass manufacturer. And it's a longer story, but it led us to the creation of NVOY fire-rated systems, which we are very proud to be debuting at Glass Build America. And this is our debut. We're extremely excited about it. It's, we're 40 years behind some of the other people in the business, but we believe we have some very interesting contributions to make to the fire-rated glass business.
No doubt, no doubt. And I'm excited to talk more about that, which we will. But Shawn, a little bit about you. Again, like I said, I knew Art for a long time, but how about you? What about your past?
Yeah, so I guess along the same lines, I've been in the business a long, long time. I think I started initially when my sister and brother-in-law started a small, more or less residential company when I was still a student at 16 years of age. So I've been in the business about 44 years as well, but awesome. I've managed to work many different positions in the glass industry. I've actually got my glazier metal mechanic certificate. Went through, I've done project management, I've done fabrication, I've done estimating. I think I've done it all at some point or other in my career. And somewhere along the line, my brother-in-law, we started to grow the business quite substantially. And it became, with my sister, of course, and it became a pretty large glazing curtain wall installation company, turning over about 23 million. So nice. We ran that for a lot of years. And then eventually, I think it was about 7 years ago, that my partner, Barb Kinney, and myself decided to start a representation company called CD&I, which mainly we represented at Lumicor at the time, and some other smaller lines. And then, of course, Art and I had known each other for many, many years. Art called on me when he was with Bearcon, and I knew him, for many, many years. So we decided to try to do something together. And obviously that became NVOY Architectural Products, and that led us again to the opportunity with Fire Rated, which we both saw as a burgeoning market and something we wanted to be part of. So we formed NVOY Fire Rated, and here we are today with a website finally launching and a nice list of products that we can offer to the market in North America.
Love it. Love it. Very cool. So I've got the goat and I've got the Swiss Army knife because, Shawn, it sounds like you've done it all. And so, especially with your past, very cool. And I did not realize that, some of the things that you had done in the past. And just for the audience, you both are based in Canada, but in different areas. Art, you're in Toronto, and Shawn, you're in Ottawa. Is that correct? Is that right?
Is correct.
Yeah. Okay. Correct. But very, very cool. But when it comes to the Fire Rated, that's for all of North America. And we're, and so let's talk a little bit about PoleFlam, and that's your partners on the Fire Rated. That's what's going to be shown at Glass Build. PoleFlam is a little bit of a different company compared to other players in this space for a lot of different reasons. Shawn, I'll start off with you. What was the first attraction, with connecting with PoleFlam, and then taking the next steps?
Well, I think for me, it was essentially the product offering that they have. They have a fantastic lineup of products, as well as some sizes that no one else in the industry can come close to that we're aware of. And their weight, their sound characteristics, all of those things made us feel that it was a very good and stable product. And they've been making it for, I think it was 20 years, Art, something like that, right?
Yes.
So it's not new by any means to PoleFlam. It may be new in the market in North America and somewhat with the gel technology, but PoleFlam has been doing it a long time, and they're doing it very well. So I think that was a big attraction for me.
How about you, Art? I mean, this is definitely not your first rodeo, and I know you take a very harsh look at things in a positive way. Like, you don't accept just any product from anybody. It had to be good. So what got you going with this?
I think that we have a connection to PoleFlam that it goes back almost 30 years. And it's the Uhlens family. So Arthur Uhlens was formerly the head of AFG in North America and my boss for many years. And his son is the chief executive officer of PoleFlam. So I trusted the connection from day one. And it the trust was there from day one. And then as Shawn and I started investigating what they were doing and what they were bringing to market in terms of a fire rated product, we realized that we had something special on our hands. And so, PoleFlam has a proprietary gel that they use, developed in-house. They have the ability to make very large pieces of glass. Somewhere in the area of 88 by 165 is our max. And it's because of the technology involved, it's extremely light. So compared to other people in the business and what they're offering with their products. So we felt that we had some advantages we could bring to the market and allow us to become one of the few major players in the fire rated glass business in North America. And we've been busily working at all of the items necessary to enter the market, primarily testing. And so we've been testing for about a year. Just to give you a feel for it, PoleFlam performed about 300 fire tests last year. Mm-hmm. And so we know going forward that we have some nice products to start with, and that we'll be continuing to test and bring new products to the market as we move on after our major debut next week in Dallas.
Yeah, can't wait. So yeah, that's a lot of people that are listening to this or watching this or are coming to Dallas. So, and we'll talk about your booth momentarily. But if you want to see a little bit more about what NVOY and Art and Shawn are talking about, you can catch it online, brand new website right now, NVOY FRS. So that's the letter NVOY FRS.com. It's the NVOY Fire Rated Systems site where you can see all the products. How's it going so far? I'll start with you, Art. This has been a process. Like you said, the testing takes time, organization takes time, but reaction, I think, has been pretty positive, at least in the circles I run in. How's it going?
Perhaps a little too positive. People here where, there's no secrets in I've always said there's no secrets in the glass business. You start something and eventually people hear about it. And so we've been getting a lot of calls about what we can offer. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you quote this? Can you quote that? And like you just said, we cannot sell anything unless it's totally tested and certified. And so the certifications are coming. We have some now. They're more on their way. And we are busily organizing fabricators for our framing systems, both steel and aluminum. Testing other systems that are not yet in North America, such as timber systems and frameless systems, which will kind of be interesting as we come to the market.
Yeah.
And I'd say that if you ask Shawn and I how things are, we're crazy busy getting everything ready.
Yeah,
But
Shawn, you agree with
it's
that?
all
Right.
coming together. Yeah, but it's all coming together.
Yeah, absolutely correct. I mean, we've had a great reaction so far anytime we've mentioned what we're bringing to the market. And I mean, we're actually getting requests, and we're pricing some stuff because we are able to price certain products that we already have testing for. And I think that the reaction's been fantastic. We're very excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. Looking forward to it, and again, it is a product that is very, very hot. No pun intended, obviously, but it's
Literally.
yeah, it's something that's going to continue to grow. And I've talked about it a bunch on this podcast in the past, and so the two of you have to be feeling pretty good. I know the website was a labor of love to get that up. The testing, I know, probably again, no pun intended, test your patience quite a bit. But so at this point, the doors are open. So when people see you guys in Dallas, you're rip around ready to go. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I think it's extremely important that Shawn and I. We have a lot of good partners and assistants and associates that have put a tremendous amount of time. You get to meet a lot of them at the show because the PolFam team will be in Dallas with us. We consider them our partner for this market, and they're great partners. And so we're coming to Dallas with a whole team. Shawn and I are sitting on this podcast, but it would be unfair for us not to give a tip of the hat to all of the people that have been helping us along.
Yep.
100%.
No doubt. It does take a village, for sure. And that's what's exciting about what you got going on. So this is very cool. I've got Shawn McHale and Art Huard, the principals of NVOY. They have NVOY fire rated systems, which we've been kind of concentrating on right now, but also NVOY building products, architectural products, which has the full range of different things. And so the regular NVOY site is nvoy.ca. And then what we're talking about right now with NVOY fire rated systems is NVOY FRS, NVOYFRS.com. And you'll be able to see them at GlassBuild at booth 14013. And it's going to be very interesting. I'm just teasing what that booth's going to look like because we're going to talk about it. But got to have a fun question here. Got to break things up. And you know me, I'm a big sports fan. Art and I have talked about sports over the years. So my fun question for the two of you guys is your favorite athlete that's not from your home country. So for you guys, it's got to be your favorite non-Canadian athlete, because I assume you're both, Canadian. For me, it's my favorite non-American athlete. But Art, I'll start with you. Favorite non-Canadian athlete of all time?
Well, I think it's fair to say that I am a lover of sports. I follow hockey. I follow the NFL. I follow a lot of sports, including golf. And I would say my favorite athlete is Lionel Messi.
Oh, wow.
He is
Okay.
one of the world's greatest athletes. He continues to be a great athlete even as he gets a little bit older.
Yep.
And is talked about, and I think he carries a certain amount of humility, which I really like.
Yep. Leo Messi. Yeah, I love it. I did not expect that. You caught me off guard there. Shawn, how about you?
Well, although I'm not a big football fan like Art, hockey would be my favorite, but I think a lot of my heroes would be Canadian. So I think I'm going to go with golf, and I think I'd say Scotty Scheffler.
Nice.
Pretty hard to ignore what he's done in the past couple of years, and just how amazingly he handles himself, and even the arrest.
Oh yeah. The guy is a consummate professional, well put together, and I mean, he still almost won that tournament. And so that was a heck of a performance from Scotty, and then getting the Olympics. And for those of you watching on YouTube, Art's lights went out.
Art's lights went out. He's trying to reorganize here very quickly to see why.
But most people listen, so you're missing the art in the dark. But
I think it's on some kind of timer.
It's a movement timer, so Art was sitting still for too long. But I like your choices: Leo Messi, Scotty Scheffler. For me, I joked with Art in my notes to you guys that you could probably guess who mine is. Possibly mine is Mario Lemieux. And so I grew up with him. My son would kill me because my son is a Sid Crosby guy, and he would expect me to say Sid. But 66 was my guy, and unbelievable. And if injuries didn't hit him and cancer didn't hit him, he would have broken every record in the book. So love it, love it, love it, love it. Good stuff. I love the athlete questions too. All right, back to the serious stuff. Glass Build. You guys will be there. It's coming up in Dallas on September 30th, October 1st and 2nd. You'll be in booth 14013. It'll be loaded up with the fire rated systems branding, but there'll probably be some other things to catch people's eyes. Do we want to tell people what they may see, or do they have to come by the booth and be surprised? Art, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that it would be important to let everyone know that we will have 7 different samples of 7 systems that we will be offering in the marketplace, which I think will be of interest to everyone. And I think the other part of it is we will have our whole team there. So if you have questions or comments or, anything like that, we'd be happy to have a conversation with you. I think we're also going to have a fun side to our booth.
Beautiful.
We have a 2-headed fire-breathing dragon that will appear at every hour or hour and a half. And we're going to encourage people to join the naming contest. Since it's got 2 heads, we're thinking 2 names.
Gotcha.
My vote is Pole is one name and Slam is the other, but I'm only one. And I think that everyone that stops, we're going to try and give them a little gift as they leave.
All right, cool. Very cool.
So come on by, have a little fun, take some serious interest in our products, and walk away with a little gift. How's that?
Sure.
I like it. And Shawn, are you excited for Glass Build? I mean, this is for you being in the business 44 years, you've done your share of shows. How you feeling about this one?
I think I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be a great show for us. We have the wonderful Pole Plan team with us in the booth at all times, and we're going to have some of our agents that are going to be coming by, some of that we've started to recruit across North America. I think it's going to be quite an occasion for everyone to finally see what we have and what we're going to be going forward with.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to the dragon. But also, I mean, I didn't realize you're bringing 7 samples of 7 systems. I think that's going to be, a very eye-catching and very important too, because that just shows, the breadth of your offering.
Exactly.
And that's even without, like what Art was teasing before, with new future systems to come, like the frameless and the timber and so on. Very cool. I'm excited. And any other things to add about your Glass Build adventure? Art, you're driving to Dallas, I heard. Is that still the plan, or did you change your mind?
No, I have not changed my mind. And, I've done a lot of trade shows over the years. I think once you've done and worked with your booth for a few trade shows, it becomes pretty automatic. But this is our first trade show, new booth, new everything. And I did not want to take a chance of getting to Dallas and not having something. So it's coming. We're renting a U-Haul trailer and jumping in our SUV. And the other thing is, I've never driven this route, so I'm looking forward to leaving Toronto, going through Detroit, through St. Louis, all the way down to Texas. So it's going to be an adventure in itself.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And
go ahead, Shawn.
Fortunately, the samples have arrived as well in Dallas.
That's good. That's good. The only thing that's sticking in my head is the scene from Chevy Chase's Vacation when he gets lost in St. Louis, and they steal his hubcaps. I just hope you don't get lost in St. Louis, Art. Just keep rolling on through. This is fun stuff. Fun stuff. Looking forward to it.
I'll take your advice and maybe take the outside ring.
The bypass. Yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah.
Very cool. One more question for Shawn McHale, Art Huard, principals at NVOY. A couple different websites for you. NVOY.com. So it's the letter N, then VOY, NVOY.ca for their regular site. And then what we're talking about here, their fire rated site is NVOYFRS.com. So it stands for NVOY Fire Rated Systems. The thing I have, you both work in different cities in Canada, but you also cover, the US, you have connections in Europe. I'm really curious what you're feeling about the markets. I mean, we just had the rate cut yesterday in the US. There's been some rate cuts in Canada and Europe and so on. So there's a lot playing. You have visibility that I sure don't because of all the areas you run in. I'll start with you, Shawn. How are you feeling about the mood of the market now going into 2025? Just curious, what your gut's telling you about what we're up against forecast-wise.
Yeah, sure. It's to be honest, in our area, it's pretty quiet at the moment in the Ottawa region. People are expecting mini projects to come out for tender, but it's a little bit slow at the moment. We have some mammoth projects that are actually coming up. Everyone's excited about those, but I mean, that will leave a lot of room in the market, I think, in 2025, 2026 for the mid-level players and smaller players to get into the game, because people will be very busy by the look of it in our area. On the residential side, obviously things have cooled because of the interest rates, and we're still not really seeing that pop, but we're not so much involved with that.
Gotcha. And Art, how are you feeling overall? I mean, because again, I know you talk, being the sales goat, you talk to everybody and anybody. Curious what your feeling is out there.
Well, it's an interesting comment. I think that everyone is waiting. Everyone I know is waiting. They're waiting for the anticipated rate cut, both in Canada and the United States. We've started to see it just recently. And I think everyone's waiting on the election. I mean, everyone, I think that's typical, though. I think every 4 years in the United States, there's a little bit of a pause while people try and figure out what the results of the election are going to be, and couple that with the rate situation, where everybody says, oh, if I could get another half point or point, this project will be viable at that point.
Right.
And so the waiting, I think, is about to end. And I foresee some very interesting times ahead, because there is a pent-up demand for a lot of things. If I look particularly in Canada, we're short 2 million houses. On a pretty small country, we're 2 million houses short. And so if you extrapolate that a little bit, that's a lot of houses to be built in North America.
Yeah.
And every time you build a house and a new suburb or a new development, that spurs commercial construction, it government, hospitals, everything else. So we're very, very excited. Earlier this year, there was a very interesting article about the rise in the demand for fire-rated and multifunctional glass products for safety and security. I think that whole business is going to go ahead and really scream in terms of the viability and the activity within.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. First off, though, the waiting is interesting, because there is a lot of, let's just get to November and see, in a way, it doesn't even matter who wins. It's like, let's just get to see who wins, and then we'll move forward. And I know in Canada there's been rumblings about maybe a snap election, which could change the dynamic there. Europe is Europe. It's up, down, all around as always. But very interesting. I did not realize the shortage of homes in Canada, and that is a big spur of growth, because it does kind of build everything out. And then on the fire rated, to kind of wrap this up in a little bow, I mean, it's taken a long time for people to understand where fire rated works and how it works. And also, it's taken a long time for really high quality products to come to the market. And now you're taking it another step forward with what you have. And that's what's exciting about, being able to kind of move the whole industry in the right direction. The two of you got to be over the moon right now. I know you want things to move, but you got to be feeling pretty good overall, correct?
Yeah, our biggest concern is that we get a little bit too busy too quickly. So we're scaling up. We're trying to scale up. We're trying to make sure that we offer exceptional customer service. That's our mantra. That's how we want to come to market. And so we're kind of keeping an eye on how many salespeople we're bringing on, et cetera, so that we do this in a very organized fashion and continue to give the excellent customer service as the base of our whole existence.
Perfect. Well, absolutely. It's been great to have the two of you, Shawn McHale, Art Huard, principals of NVOY. Find them online at both nvoy.ca, so that's nvoy.ca, and then the brand new website and everything we just talked about today, NVOYFRS, nvoyfrs.com, and see them at GlassBuild, which is a definite must at booth 14013. Guys, thank you so much for doing the pod. I'll see you in person here very, very soon. Really appreciate it.
And thank you, Max. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Okay. Catching up with an old friend now. I've got Kyle Lindersmith of Burkle, North America. Kyle's a good friend. He's somebody that people always ask me about and always ask me to learn more about what he's got going on. So that's why I like to bring him back on the podcast. So Kyle from Burkle, North America, you can find them online at burkle.tech. /UN-EN. And if you go just Burkle.tech, you should be able to get to the English site. Burkle, again, known for their laminating along with some other things, and they'll be at Glass Build in booth 15049 in Dallas. Kyle, thank you so much for doing the pod again.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's awesome to get caught up with you. So those of you who maybe didn't catch a previous appearance from you, just a quick background of you, Kyle Lindersmith, where you came from. You've been in the industry a while, so just kind of give everybody a rundown.
Getting to be, depends on your a while. There's a lot of you folks that have spent your entire lives in the industry. I started with Burkle back in '98 as a service tech, and then service manager, and then sales, and wore a lot of different hats at the company for sure. One of them that I enjoy a lot is being in the sales department here for our lamination product, as you mentioned, the IFL. So just a quick little bit of background about Burkle for those who don't know. Our two core technologies are coating and lamination. So we're a German-based company. We're up high in the Black Forest there in Germany, in a small town called Freudenstadt. A lot of manufacturing in the area there. And so when I say coating and lamination, the lamination side, we'll be laminating safety glass, solar modules, your credit cards in your wallet, circuit boards, and then on the woodworking side, which is about 50% of what we do, we got customers like IKEA, Shaw, hardwood floors, doors, all kinds of different stuff. And then on the coating side, the majority of that is typically staining, clear coats, things of that nature, whether it be a wood product or maybe printed graphics, or on the glass side of the business, fenestration, as well as anti-reflective coatings on both solar modules. And we're seeing some lighting applications as well, and maybe even some greenhouses from time to time. If you apply anti-reflective coating, you get a little bit more transmission of the sun into the greenhouse, get a little boost there from your sun power. So yeah, a very diverse company. It's great because when one industry is down, the other one seems to be up. They are always out of phase with each other, and so it definitely keeps things interesting. When they're all moving at the same time, that's a problem.
Yeah, the manufacturing folks probably wouldn't be happy if both were going hog wild at the same time. That's for sure. That's for sure. But good to catch up with you. And I think the big thing for our audience is the laminating standpoint. And it is the IFL. It is a flat laminating machine. And so I probably best for you to go into detail, because when people hear about it, I do see kind of that meme of the brain exploding, because people are like, wow, I haven't seen that before. And that's why people like to hear from you. Talk about the IFL and the flat laminating.
Yeah, so everything we're going to do is flat here, no curved at the moment. The company is working on a project with a research institute in Germany to be able to laminate curved glass, but that's a topic for another day. But the IFL inline flat lamination is an autoclave free laminator. It's not a vacuum bag, it's not a roller press, it's not an oven, it's not an autoclave. It's just a completely different type of technology, in that what we do is we take two steel heated platens and we essentially press that glass together, the two pieces of glass with the inner layer in the middle, which allows us to have very rapid heat transfer into the product. So we still do it under vacuum. The machine has 3 different steps, and I always liken step number 1 to a pre-nip, if you will, because we're kind of pre-laminating. In a way, it's like the roller pressing the air out of the package. But we do that with vacuum instead of a roller press, and then we have our heated platens. So we'll pull all that air out, and then we close our platens, we squish all the glass together, get that inner layer to melt so we know the package is sealed up, and then we move into a second heating step. If you watch that glass moving, it's still going to be a little milky. The inner layer will be. Once it gets into step 2, we finish the melting process, and then on to step 3 is cooling. Cooling process is great for us because there's always concerns with SGP. If that SGP cooling rate isn't correct, well, we can adjust our cooling rate, our temperatures, and we can always make sure that the SGP is going to cool and be crystal clear. So it's a super neat process. I'm really excited about the equipment. We've had some good successes here in the U.S. with a number of companies. I expect to have a lot of meetings and a lot of activity in the booth coming up here at Glass Build. Of course, that's one of the reasons we're chatting today. Yep. But it's just a really innovative machine. We've got a client that is happy to have tours. So anybody that wants to come out and see this thing, we're always happy to host and let them see the machine in action.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think, I always kind of explain it as it looks like a tempering oven because of the way it's laid out, but you're creating and you're manufacturing laminated glass in it, which I think to the end, the layman, I think that kind of makes sense. Or am I way off there?
No, you're right. And, it's just like a tempering furnace, right? So we've got a bed size, it's, I think 100 by 120 inches, somewhere around there. And don't quote me on that. I have to look back. The problem is I know it in millimeters, 2,600 by 5,000, but I don't have it burned in my brain yet in inches.
No worries.
But it's just like a tempering furnace. We work with the software providers in the industry to optimize upstream at cutting, so that what ends up in the layup room in front of lamination, the operators can optimize the bed load. You're shooting for 80, 90%, of course, is always great. So they'll use that data, those pictures that come from cutting in the software, got a big TV in the room. So they'll place everything on the in-feed conveyor where it needs to be, again, to maximize bed load and efficiency. So then off to the races it goes. It's a true inline process. If you automate your layup and you potentially automate your trimming, you need no operators. There's no carts, there's no edge protectors, there's no taping, there's none of that. You just lay up, get it in the machine, we melt it all together, and out it goes on the backside.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you mentioned that you've had some installations, and that was one of the things I wanted to catch up with you on, is because when we first talked, it was kind of early on in some of the U.S. installations. Now you've got a few under your belt. Any lessons learned? Any feel like, oh, now we've fixed that, or this is better, or that's worse, or what's been the lessons learned in this process now that you've got a few under your belt?
Well, for us, it's just honestly getting to know the industry. This machine was born in the solar industry, so it's kind of a tweak of equipment that we've sold into that industry for about 15 years. And so, that's, a lot of times you're melting glass to glass, but you're using different interlayers like EVA, TPOs, POE, things of that nature. Whereas the PVB and SGP, what was interesting for us is, most people talk about SGP. Yeah, it's no fun to trim or cut, no doubt. But, from a process standpoint, folks seem to think it's more difficult to process than PVB. For us, SGP is a piece of cake just because of the moisture issues. Right. We definitely find that because we have such a short cycle time, overall cycle time is, let's say, somewhere between 42 and 45 minutes, depending on glass thickness, and tap time. So about every 13 to 15 minutes, you've got a load coming out of roughly 100 square feet of glass. But we don't have a lot of time to evacuate any moisture that's in that package. So for us, keeping that clean room nice and dry, as per, not drier than what the interlayer manufacturers spec out, but as long as you meet the requirements of the interlayer folks, then we're fine. Just keep that room dry and everything's good. The biggest challenge I think we had were some champagne bubbles around the edges that were just simply wet PVB. So,
Gotcha.
Once we've worked around that, got through that, and we've had some issues with the glass shifting a little bit on top, because we do have a very strong vacuum that we draw in the very first part of that process in step number 1. So we've had to make some changes to prevent the top piece of glass from floating, I guess we call it.
That's good, but
those are the big lessons learned.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do, and it's going well. I'm with Kyle Lindersmith of Burkle, North America. You'll be able to see them at GlassBuild, which is coming up next week. Depending on when you listen to this, it's going to be next week from right now. But booth 15049 in Dallas, a different floor layout this year with these 5-digit booth numbers. 15049. Check out Burkle there and Kyle, and you can ask him about those previous projects and how that's going and where it's going next steps. And overall, though, happy with the process with the IFL. I know this is I know you said, Burkle does a bunch of other things, but our focus here is on the laminating. Happy with the process? You good with the way things have gone these last couple of years?
Yeah, absolutely. Really, it's been fun, and you mentioned been around a while. I think the glass industry really only about 3-4 years now, but I really enjoy the industry. I enjoy the people. I think it's a fun industry. This machine is incredibly innovative. When you see it, the size of it, what it does, it's just a cool piece of equipment. And for us, we're super excited about it, because when we're looking at developing a product in a market right now, this is number one, just because solar, the other industries that we're in, we're established in those industries. Everybody pretty much knows us. We've got a great reputation, but there's a real opportunity here, and so many people talking about LAMI. Yeah. Last year, I think we scanned 90 badges, which was a record for us at a glass build, and I'm going through getting all the contacts together for our email blast here now. And, if glass build is anything close this year as it was last, it's one of those no time to eat, no time to do anything. You're trying to get some water down the throat because your throat's dry from presenting. So I love shows like that. There's nothing worse than being bored in a booth.
Yep.
And excited about it. And then, of course, Glass Tech coming up after that. So, yeah, it's a high priority within the organization. Everybody's super excited about it.
What is on tap for Glass Build for you guys? Your standard booth with your videos and details, and that's what people. So if I come to the booth and I want to see the IFL in action, you'll have a video and you'll have information that you could show me, I assume.
Right. So we'll have a big screen TV, which is a video on a loop that we can kind of pause and let people see how it works. Then we have a really innovative product called our Info Cube. So it's just a really large touch screen and a nice basically wooden container essentially. And we can then take the covers off the machine and zoom in and really cut it apart and show you exactly how it works. There's a lot of neat renderings, 3D renderings and videos, 3D rendering videos, things of that nature. So there's no way we're going to have one of these on the floor. That first step weighs 100,000 pounds and the whole thing's 100 feet long.
Yeah.
So being able to show everybody with our marketing tools how this thing works, what the process looks like is great.
And I think I've seen you watch. I think I've seen you work that Smart Cube at Glass Tech, and you reminded me of John Madden from back in the day because you got so excited. And I watch you, and you're like, "Boom! Right here. This is where this happens in stage 1. Boom!" And you're like circling things and moving things with your hands. So I assume that's the same one. That's the same setup.
Yeah.
I love it. It's
so,
folks.
It's
very
interactive, and what I love is when I get done presenting to a group, I ask, "Does anybody have any questions?" And most of the time they say no. And that's because our marketing team's done a great job of putting all this stuff together, and you can visually see it, handing somebody a brochure and going, yeah, well, it kind of, this is just, it's a great way to show everybody how this tool works, this machine works, and it's really effective.
Worth going to booth 15049 and ask Kyle to do the presentation because he gets so into it. So it's definitely worth the energy and the passion you bring, my friend. I didn't realize that was going to be a part of the show. I love that. I love that you'll be doing that again. So very cool. Very cool. If you want to check out Burkle before the show, you can again check them out online at burkle.tech. /US-EN, or if you just type in burkle.tech, it may come up with the German site, but then you just hit English and you're good to go. And it's very optimized and easy to get around. Kyle, any other thoughts on Glass Build? Any other things you're looking forward to other than this little show season, Glass Build, Glass Tech, etc.?
No, look, I haven't been back to Texas in a long time. I lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area back prior to high school.
Okay.
So it's going to be neat to get back to the old stomping grounds. I lived in Austin for a little while after that as well. So not a lot of clients for me to visit in the Texas area. So yeah, looking forward to getting back down there and seeing the folks, all the glass nerds at Glass Build.
Love it. Love it. Well, I look forward to seeing you there. Again, Kyle Lindersmith, thanks for hopping on the pod real quick. Burkle, great IFL, the laminating. They have other things too, but the laminate's what we're focused on. See them in booth 15049 at Glass Build. My friend, I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you so much for doing the pod.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. So thank you to everyone on this podcast edition. So Katy, Alan, Art, Shawn, and Kyle. It was good stuff on the supersized edition of the From the Fabricator podcast. A thank you to FHC. They are a sponsor of this episode, and FHC is Dallas bound for Glass Build. You can visit them at booth 45012 to see the award-winning glazing systems, tools, and supplies that are changing the game. American made, designed, engineered, tested. They've got the glass railing systems, the entrance systems. They got it all, folks. See them at booth 45012. That is the place to be at Glass Build America. Giddy up. Thank you very much, FHC, for that. And so, as always, at the end of the podcast, I give my TV recommendations. The new season of Tulsa Kings is back. I love Sly Stallone. He could do anything. He is Rocky always, and so this is like Rocky as a mobster in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I love it. Second season so far. First episode was enjoyable for me. Empty calories, great. I'll take it. And then if you are a Sopranos fan, if you like the series Sopranos, there's a 2-part documentary out on HBO Max right now, or it's officially called Max, whatever the case may be, on The Sopranos from the creator, David Chase. Absolute must watch. It gives the background of how he came up with it, his inspirations. Just the screen tests alone of some of the people that tried out for some of the roles is fascinating. Really, really well done. 2-part documentary on The Sopranos and David Chase. So check that out on Max, HBO Max. And again, thank you everyone for listening, for watching. I really appreciate it. I really look forward to seeing everyone at Glass Build. It's going to be a great show. It really, really is. Can't wait for it. Can't wait to see everybody. And I'll be back a couple weeks after Glass Build with a Glass Tech preview on the podcast. But for now, I look forward to seeing everyone. Stay well, travel safe, and we'll see you soon.
Oh, the music is stopped.